Chapter 2 Shadows of the East. The sun rose over Halicarnassus, casting long shadows across the palace courtyard. Artemisia stood ready, her sword at her side, her heart pounding with anticipation. Today was a significant day. She and her rival Kairos were to accompany her father, King Lygdamis, to Athens, to shadow him at the Greek council. It was an opportunity to observe the political machinations of the era and to understand the complexities of Greek diplomacy. "Remember, Artemisia," Cimon said, his voice stern yet caring. "This is a chance to learn. Observe, listen, and understand the subtleties of power." Cimon's scarred and rugged appearance, complete with a salt and pepper beard and a powerful, muscular build, belied a wisdom that only came from years of battle and hardship. Artemisia rolled her eyes. Though she knew Cimon meant well, she'd grown used to his protective nature, even if it grated on her at times. "I can take care of myself, Cimon. You don't need to be my bodyguard." Cimon's face softened for a moment. "It's not about protection, Artemisia. It's about presence. A leader must know when to show strength and when to show restraint." As they boarded the ship to Athens, Artemisia glanced at Kairos, who was leaning against the rail with a confident smirk. Kairos was tall and lean, with sharp features and piercing eyes that seemed to challenge everyone he looked at. His blonde hair was tied back in a warrior's knot, and he carried himself with an air of arrogance and self-assurance. Despite their rivalry, she knew that Kairos shared her determination to learn and grow. "Ready to face the Athenian elite," Kairos teased. "Ready to show them what Caria is made of," Artemisia shot back, her eyes sparkling with defiance. The journey to Athens was swift, the sea calm beneath their ship. As they approached the bustling city, Artemisia marveled at its grandeur. Athens was a hub of activity, its streets teeming with people, its temples and public buildings a testament to its cultural and economic prowess. King Lygdamis led the way, his presence commanding respect. Lygdamis was a tall, imposing figure with a regal bearing. His long hair, streaked with silver, framed a face marked by wisdom and experience. His deep-set eyes held a mixture of authority and compassion, and his broad shoulders spoke of a life spent in both governance and battle. As they made their way to the council chamber, Artemisia couldn't help but feel a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This was the heart of Greek politics, where alliances were forged and broken, where the fate of city-states was decided. Inside the council chamber, the atmosphere was charged with tension. Representatives from various city-states had gathered, each with their own agendas and rivalries. Among them, Artemisia recognized the stern faces of Spartan envoys, the calculating eyes of Corinthian delegates, and the poised demeanor of Athenian leaders. The Athenian delegation was led by Cleisthenes, a man of medium height with a dignified air. His sharp, intelligent eyes and neatly trimmed beard gave him an aura of wisdom and authority. He wore a simple yet elegant himation, symbolizing both his democratic ideals and his noble heritage. As the session began, King Lygdamis took his place, with Artemisia and Kairos standing behind him. Cimon, ever vigilant, stood nearby, his eyes scanning the room for any sign of danger. The discussions were intense, focusing on the rise of tyrannies in key city-states. In Athens, the Pisistratid tyranny had recently fallen, and the city was in the midst of democratic reforms led by Cleisthenes. These changes were transforming Athens into a burgeoning democracy, though not without internal strife. "Democracy is a fragile experiment," Cleisthenes remarked. "We must be vigilant to protect it from those who seek to exploit it." The Spartan envoys were led by King Lygdamis, a towering figure with a powerful build and a commanding presence. His menacing auburn eyes and stern expression conveyed an unyielding sense of duty and honor. His dark hair and beard were neatly trimmed, and he wore the traditional red cloak of a Spartan warrior. "In Sparta, we understand the need for discipline and order," Leonidas declared. "Without it, chaos reigns." Corinth, a powerful and wealthy city-state, was navigating its own political landscape. The rise of the tyrant Cypselus and his son Periander had established a dynasty that balanced power and prosperity, but not without creating enemies. The Corinthian delegation was led by Periander, a cunning and ambitious man with a sly smile and cold, calculating eyes. His dark, curly hair framed a face that could shift from charming to ruthless in an instant. As the council debated these internal issues, a shadow loomed over the proceedings, the growing threat from the east. The Persian Empire, under the rule of King Darius I, was expanding its influence, and the Greek city-states were increasingly concerned. "The Persians are a menace," one delegate warned. "They seek to subjugate all who stand in their way. We must unite to face this common enemy." Artemisia listened intently, her mind racing with the implications. She knew that Caria, as a vassal of Persia, was in a precarious position. Her father had managed to maintain a delicate balance, but the growing tensions made that balance ever more fragile. As the discussions continued, Artemisia couldn't help but notice the presence of several key figures who would shape the future of Greece. Among them was Themistocles, a rising star in Athenian politics, known for his strategic brilliance and ambition. Themistocles was of small build, with a sharp, angular face and intense, dark eyes that missed nothing. His presence was magnetic, drawing people to him with a combination of charisma and intellect. "We must strengthen our navy," Themistocles argued. "The sea is our lifeline. Without control of it, we are vulnerable." "The Persians will test our resolve," Leonidas stated firmly. "We must be prepared to defend our way of life at all costs." As the council session drew to a close, King Lygdamis motioned for Artemisia and Kairos to follow him. They made their way to a private chamber where they could discuss the day's events. "You both did well today," Lygdamis said, his voice filled with pride. "You observed, you listened. That is the first step in understanding the complexities of leadership." Artemisia nodded, though her mind was still processing the discussions. "Father, what do you think of the Persians? Are they as great a threat as the council believes?" Lygdamis sighed, his expression troubled. "The Persians are powerful, and their ambitions are vast, but we must also consider our position. As a vassal state, we have a degree of protection, but also obligations. Navigating these waters will require wisdom and caution." Kairos, who had been silent, spoke up. "And what of the internal struggles, the rise of tyrannies, the democratic experiments? How do we find our place in this ever-shifting landscape?" Lygdamis looked at both of them, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and concern. "That is the challenge we face. But remember, strength comes not just from power, but from understanding. The more we learn, the better prepared we will be." As they retired for the evening, Artemisia found herself drawn to the window of her chamber, gazing out at the Athenian skyline. The city was alive with energy, its people bustling with activity even in the fading light. Cimon approached, his presence a comforting reminder of home. "What troubles you, Artemisia?" She turned to him, her eyes reflecting the flickering torchlight. "So much is changing, Cimon. The threats, the alliances, the ambitions. How do we navigate it all?" Cimon smiled, a rare gesture that softened his rugged features. "One step at a time. Trust in your training, in your instincts, and know that you are not alone. We all have our roles to play." As she lay down to sleep, Artemisia's mind buzzed with the day's events. The council, the political intrigues, the looming Persian threat, all of it swirled in her thoughts. But amidst the uncertainty, a sense of purpose began to take root. She was not just a warrior. She was a leader in the making, destined to carve her own path in the annals of history. And as the night enveloped Athens, the young warrior queen drifted into a restless sleep, her dreams filled with visions of battles yet to come, and the promise of a legacy that would endure through the ages.